Hello guys, welcome back to the Only Recaps channel. In this video I am going to explain one off the romantic comedy movie from 2011, Bad Teacher. Elizabeth is a middle-aged woman who works as a teacher at a junior high school. Elizabeth is actually a careless and rude woman who curses at the students and makes them watch movies in class. Most of the time, she is under the influence of either alcohol or narcotics. Elizabeth only has one aim in her life: to marry a rich guy and suck all of his wealth. In short, she is a gold digger. Currently, Elizabeth is dating the son of an extremely wealthy businessman, and things are looking good for her. So one day, she arrogantly quits her job at the school as she no longer requires employment. However, when she arrives home, she discovers her boyfriend and his mother waiting for her, and he dumps her when his mother shows him that Elizabeth does not love him and she is only after his money. All these months, she has stolen money from his wallet, his office, and even his mom's room to buy expensive stuff for herself. Elizabeth tries to explain that this is not the case, but he doesn't listen and angrily leaves. This leaves Elizabeth in a tricky situation. Not only has her dream of becoming rich shattered, but she is also jobless now. Elizabeth tries looking for jobs for a few months, but because she doesn't have much talent, no one hires her. At last, she swallows her pride and rejoins her old employer, the junior high school. On her first day, she bumps into her old nemesis, Amy Squirrel, and the two exchange them insulting words with each other. It is evident that both of them hate one another with a passion. Not too long afterwards, another female teacher by the name Lynn invites Elizabeth for lunch and offers to pay the bill. Lynn had always wanted to be Elizabeth's friend, but she never gave Lynn the chance. Elizabeth tells Lynn that from now on, her #1 goal will be to get a rich boyfriend that will take care of her. However, for this to happen, Elizabeth decides that she needs to undergo a breast surgery to increase her tits. Elizabeth tells her the whole story which has happened to her. She tells her that soon she will seduce some other wealthy guy and leave this job. At night, she goes to a bar and meets a man she thinks to make him her next target. She starts to talk to him and later tries to seduce him, but once she gets to know that he is not rich, she gets rid from him somehow. She reaches her house and tries to sleep but cannot sleep well. In the morning, she feels very sleepy in the school. In the class, one of her students bring her the cookies which are made by the student's mother. Elizabeth does not show much interest. She then tastes a cookie and says that the cookies are sick, hairless of the student's emotions. Then she turns the TV on and asks her students to watch the movie, and she then falls asleep. She goes to the canteen after this. Elizabeth rejects advances from the school's gym teacher, Russell Geddes, who asks her for a date. Russell likes her for so long, but Elizabeth does not give him much value. This is because he lacks the only quality she looks for in men, being rich. Amy also comes there, and both have an unpleasant conversation. On the way to the class, she notices an attractive, handsome young guy in the corridor. Upon approaching him, she gets to know that he is a substitute teacher whose name is Scott Delacourt. She notices a branded watch on his wrist and realizes that he is a rich man. She passes compliments about it. He tells her that his grandfather designed it and is from his family business. He tells her that he cannot find his class. Elizabeth talks more and tries to know about him. She gets to know that he had a girlfriend, and a picture of his ex-girlfriend with large breasts motivates her even more to go for the breast enlargement. In the next scene, Elizabeth heads to a clinic and prepares to fill out the form for the surgery. But when she learns that the procedure will cost her $9,000, she immediately stops. Elizabeth doesn't even have $50 in her account, so she will have to wait for the time being. That night, she calls all her friends and acquaintances, hoping that she can get some donation for the surgery. However, since all of them know her true nature, they simply hang up on her. Elizabeth then reverts to her ex-boyfriend, but even he refuses and disconnects the call, much to her frustration. The next day, she shows another movie to the class where a girl tells her that they are going to hold a car wash and that they raised $6,000 the last time. This intrigues Elizabeth, so she heads to the principal's office and starts seducing him with her looks. Once he becomes aroused, she requests that he make her in charge of the car wash event instead of Amy. To her delight, he agrees without even thinking twice. The following morning, Elizabeth heads to the event in the most revealing dress that she can find. She then begins washing the car as well, also splashing a lot of water on her body. All the men there continue to stare at her, and a policeman even hits a parked car. Then Scott comes upon the scene in his Audi, and she tries to ask him on a date, but he refuses. At the end of the car wash, Elizabeth sits in a car and counts the money. Amy sees this and complains to the principal about Elizabeth and tells him that she might have taken money from the car wash. The principal tells her to get out and that she should leave him in peace. The next day at school is the annual parent-teacher meeting. As expected, many parents have lined up in Elizabeth's class as all of them are angry with how their children are being taught. They confront Elizabeth and demand an explanation as to why she never teaches lessons and always plays movies in the class. Elizabeth tells them that the school has hired her because she is amazing at what she does. She then tells them to enjoy the refreshments, which are just a glass of water. After a while, when the meeting ends, a concerned father approaches Elizabeth. He then hands her some money, requesting that she give his son extra attention. This gives our cunning protagonist yet another idea. She meets with all the parents one by one and takes money from them, promising that she will give their children personal attention. Now Elizabeth is only $2,000 short of her breast enhancement surgery. As the days pass, she continues being irresponsible and totally neglects her students. Elizabeth also rejects the gym instructor Russell's advances. However, she does form a friendship with him. On the other hand, Amy has also started making a move on the wealthy and handsome Scott. The two have become close and are always together, making Elizabeth extremely jealous. One day, she learns from her best friend Lynn that the school is going to host a competition for the teachers. Whosoever makes their students get the best grades in the upcoming state test will win a cash prize of $5,000. Cats to me. Hearing this, Elizabeth becomes ecstatic and she decides to finally start teaching her students. So, from the very next day, she comes early to class and makes everyone open their books, shocking them. Elizabeth also makes sure to give them homework and daily assignments. She doesn't even let them talk to each other in class. This goes on for a few days, and meanwhile, she befriends Russell and both spend good time with each other as Amy and Scott start dating. The students greatly improve. However, it is still not enough to pass the upcoming state test, which is only a few days away. Elizabeth, who is desperate to win the $5,000 cash prize, decides to steal the state test answers by impersonating a journalist and seducing Carl Halaby, a state professor in charge of creating and distributing the exams. She convinces Carl to go into his office to get intimated with her. Elizabeth spikes his drink with sleeping pills, which Carl later consumes and gets knocked out. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Elizabeth steals the questions from him and gives them to her students. The following week, the test results come out and all of her students pass with exemplary grades, hence making her victorious. Elizabeth wins the $5,000 cash prize, and with this, she finally has enough money to undergo the surgery. However, the next day, she gets dejected to learn that Scott has now started dating Amy. They appear to be deeply in love with each other. The following week, the school is taking all the students on a tour, and the ones in charge will be Scott and Amy. When Elizabeth learns of this, she comes up with a cunning plan. She injects an apple with some chemical and leaves it on Amy's desk, knowing that she is immensely fond of the fruit. As expected, Amy takes a bite out of the apple without even inquiring where it came from. By the evening, her face is covered with rashes and allergies, fearing that she might spread it to the students. The principal appoints Elizabeth to replace her in the tour. In the next scene, Elizabeth takes full advantage of the opportunity and becomes close with Scott, and Elizabeth secretly leaves Amy a message through Scott's phone, recording all the action. However, Scott's ever-changing ideals disappoint Elizabeth. Scott also tells Elizabeth again that he is in love with Amy and does not want to cheat on her. He shows Elizabeth a promise ring that he shares with Amy. Meanwhile, one of her students, Garrett, gets taunted by his classmates for confessing to an unrequited attraction to a superficial girl in the class named Chase. Elizabeth consoles him and helps make him popular, which prompts her to begin reflecting on her own superficial ways. During all this situation, Elizabeth feels bad about Russell as she realizes that his condition is same as Garrett. He loves her so much, but she is constantly rejecting him. Back at the school, Amy switches Elizabeth's desk with her own to trick the janitor into unlocking Elizabeth's sealed drawer, and then makes a janitor break open the drawer. To her delight, she discovers the question papers that Elizabeth had stolen from Carl. Following this, Amy heads to the principal's room and tells him everything about how Elizabeth cheated to help her students get good grades. This time, the principal believes her, but he also says that he can only fire Elizabeth if Carl confesses to the story. So, the same day, Amy confronts Carl in his office and blackmails him into confessing everything. Elsewhere on the tour, Elizabeth is having a great time with the students. She even helps one of the bullied boys become popular by supplying him with her undergarment. When Elizabeth is on her generosity and in response, she compliments his honesty and good looks. Their romantic conversation is rudely interrupted, though, when Amy arrives at the scene and taunts Elizabeth that she is going to be arrested soon. So she comes up with a plan of her own. As soon as she heads home, she pays her roommate and orders him to deliver a package to Earl. When the latter receives the package and opens it, he finds several nude pictures of him, which Elizabeth had apparently taken when he was knocked out, and uses them to blackmail him to say she is innocent. Having been informed that her desk was switched, she knows that she always keeps drugs in her desk, so she plays cunningly against Amy. She goes to the principal and states that teachers in the school use drugs. They start investigating. When the police bring a sniffer dog to search the school, they find Elizabeth's mini liquor bottles, marijuana, and OxyContin pills in Amy's classroom and Elizabeth's desk, leading to Amy getting arrested and transferred to another school by the superintendent. She constantly tries to tell them that it is Elizabeth's desk, but no one believes her. Scott approaches Elizabeth and asks her out on a date, expressing that he likes her, but surprisingly, she turns him down. Elizabeth says that she already has someone in her life who is smart, caring, and handsome. She then turns to Russell and kisses him passionately, hence starting their relationship. Elizabeth also cancels her breast enlargement surgery as she is no longer interested in attracting rich guys and has started a relationship with Russell. Elizabeth also has a new position as the new guidance counselor. I hope you enjoyed the explaining of film story. Please hit that subscribe button to get notified for next videos.